Hello and welcome to episode number 60 of the Hobbies and Happiness podcast, where we talk all about the hobby that makes us happy, tabletop gaming. I'm one of your hosts, Dan.
I'm Jim, and today we're going over the negatives of being positive.
All right, welcome to today's episode, everybody. Before we get into it, we're going to talk about our sponsor, Audible.com. All right, if you like audiobooks, or if you just like reading, but maybe you prefer to listen to the book, you can head on over to www.audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness to sign up for a free 30-day trial of audible.com. And when you sign up for that free trial, you get a free book. That's right, a free book of your choosing. That's, of course, on the store that you can add to your collection. And again, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you actually get 2 free books, 2 free credits for 2 free books for your account. And you know what? If you don't like the service at the end of the 30 days, you can cancel and you can keep those free books in your collection. So again, head on over to www.audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness to sign up for your trial today. Again, that link is www.audibletrial.com/hobbies-and-happiness to sign up for your free 30-day trial of Audible. All right, with that out of the way, we're going to jump right in. So, Jim, how's it going, man?
You know, Dan, it's been a good day. It's been a good day.
Jim was telling me about his lack of sleep.
Yeah,
these past couple days.
These last couple days, I had my aunt has been in town. I think everyone knows this story. You remember my Dungeon Mayhem story about staying up till like 3 or something, 5 o'clock in the morning playing Dungeon Mayhem when my aunt was in town? Well, that same aunt has been in town the last few days, and on Friday night I was at their place till like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Playing Dungeon Mayhem?
No, we didn't even get to play, which is the worst part. Okay, but I think we might be able to play some. Maybe. I don't know. Tomorrow or maybe the next day. Okay. Don't know yet. And
she's still in town?
Yeah, we don't know when she's leaving.
Okay.
So she's in town. Maybe we'll be able to get some games in.
There you go.
So yeah, we were just up super late. And then the next day I was up super late as well, getting next to no sleep. And then I finally crashed last night.
And this is like all because of family stuff, right?
Yeah, this has all been because of family stuff. And I started a new job on Thursday.
Yes, sir.
So then the previous day before that was not so much hectic, but just getting into the swing of things.
Yeah, getting adjusted to your new schedule.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I definitely know all about that. Mm-hmm. But so my week has been kind of crazy. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you all knew this. Jim did, but my wife and kids were all gone for like an entire week. Yep. And so before they left, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, I know I'm going to miss them, but man, this is going to be great where I'll have all this time to just get all this stuff done and be so productive. I was not.
Turns out that was a lot.
Turns out that was a lot. And it's not, and it's not like because for lack of trying, okay? It was like I didn't want to do anything, and it's not like I wanted to slack. Yeah. That was not the thing.
Yeah. It's just your emotional state was completely different.
It was so weird.
It
was so weird. I'm like, I didn't want to do anything because I'm just like, what's the point? Like there's nobody here. Like, what is the point anymore? With my wife and kids gone, what's the point of life, man? Like it's funny, but it was so weird. It was so weird that I felt like that. Mm-hmm. Like I was so happy when they got back. Mm-hmm. They ended up coming by my office on their way back into town, so they stopped and said hello. Nice. But it was so weird. Yeah. So weird. Like I'm sitting down here doing some work, and then it was just so quiet. I'm like, man, I'm used to it being loud upstairs and hearing the kids like run around the house and stuff. It was just so weird.
Yeah. I'm sure. Especially when you're used to like something happening, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go run and tell Brittany this, or oh, I can go hang out with the kids. But then it's like, where is everyone?
Yeah. After like the first weekend was okay. Yeah. I was productive that first weekend, but once it got into the week, I'm like, dude, this is
I don't even have to get up. I'm just gonna lay here for a little bit.
It was just so weird. So so needless to say, I'm glad they're back. This week I'm already making plans of kind of what's going on each and every day. and the work that I'm going to get done for Hobbies and Happiness, and then for my career and everything. So it's the mindset is just, it's so much different. I'm glad they're back, but
Right.
yeah. But in any case, we're going to talk about our topic today is the negatives of being positive. So like when you say that, you're like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to be positive, right? What's the downside of being positive, right? Like on its face, on the face of it, you're like, that doesn't make sense. It's like an oxymoron, right?
Yep.
Okay. And for the most part, like I'm all about being positive, right? Through every situation, any trial you go through, or any event, any game, and again, for all these conversations, we're trying to apply them in some sense to card games, right?
Yep.
So you get done with the match and you lose, or whatever the case may be, you win, and you're all just about, oh man, that was so great, and I'm going to be positive, right? Which again, yes, let's definitely always have a good attitude, have a positive mindset, have a positive outlook. But can that be a negative? Can that be a bad thing?
Yeah.
So before we've even said anything, Jim, like, I don't know, what do you think when I say say that statement of the negatives of being positive, like being positive is a bad thing, right? Which I'm not necessarily saying that, but
the first thing that jumped out to me when he brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, people could just easily take advantage of you with stuff.
Yeah.
But then he was like, I'm meaning for card games. I'm like, oh, right. And
but honestly though, even in a commander game, oh, he's the nice guy. He's not gonna do anything to me.
Just ask him, be like, hey yo, if you let this slide, I'll let something else slide.
I know
and
he's
then you're
gonna
just
say
like,
yes.
I'm not gonna do anything to him anyway.
Right.
I just know he's gonna say yes.
Right. Exactly.
But other than that, right, it's if you're in a game, you're getting completely stomped and you don't know why it is that you're losing these games, but you're now looking at in terms of what did I do right that game? What were the things that I was like, okay, I was super happy that I did that.
Or just well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That
or
was
that
fun.
was just fun.
Yeah,
And you
that was
don't
a fun
think
experience.
About it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not thinking about the things that you could be doing in order to improve your game. And it can kind of plateau a lot of people, especially if they're not even thinking about what it is that they're doing wrong, or they're like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Well, then how'd that person beat you? Oh, it's because they're using a meta deck and they spent $1,000 and I'm just playing casually. I'm just playing casually, having fun.
So I've got a couple of stories to like pull from, just for good examples, kind of like before we dive into this more. So a good example for me is the first time I played Magic in an FNM. Okay, in an FNM event, it was at Grapple Games. So the first time I went there, I had my deck built. First time I'm ever playing Magic with another person who's played Magic before. Like in an actual event, right?
Yeah.
So this was Kaladesh Dominaria. I think Dominaria was out.
Dominaria, then
was
Kaladesh
standard.
was the latest set.
No, Dominaria. Dominaria was it because after. Yeah. But right. So Dominaria was in standard. Okay. And I was playing my mono red goblins list, right? That was a budget list, super cheap, but I had fun with it. I was playing against another red list. It was the Chandra Heart of Kirin. Ramen
Up Red? Or are you talking like a mid-range?
No, it was the deck in standard at that time was a red. It was a red list with the red owl.
Oh yeah, the
Phoenix, the red Phoenix.
Yeah, I forget his name.
I can't remember the names of these cards, but Goblin Chain Whirler was in it. Heart of Kirin was in it.
Yeah, I want to say that was just the evolved version of Ramen Up Red. So like for Hour of Devastation, right?
Okay.
Like, there was a mono red list that came into just like beating everyone, and then like Teamer Energy was also a thing, and then it kept the name because Amonkhet's stuff was still in standard at that time. So it just slowly evolved.
Yep, correct. Because Bomat Courier was in it.
That card was
Hazard.
so
good. Bomat Courier was crazy in standard. This looks similar to the list that they were playing. But so that's the deck I'm playing against. It was like the meta deck in standard. Now, granted, I didn't know that at the time, right? Because I had no clue. I had no idea. All I knew was it's a card game. It's one of the oldest card games, and I want to play it. I want to get into it, right? So I get destroyed. Okay, obviously, right? So after that match, my head, all I was thinking about was, wow, I just got stomped. I had no idea what these cards did. And I got to do my thing with my cards barely because I just got killed, right? So what I could have done, and I'm pretty sure my mindset at that time was, wow, this is a really good deck and this is really cool. Okay, GG's. That was fun. Thank you for that. And then like got up and walked out, right? What I should have done, again, should have in quotes, right? But looked at that match and said, okay, what deck are you playing? Okay, found the deck, and then figured out, okay, here's my deck. My deck would have had 0 chance of winning, a very little chance of winning against that match, that matchup, right? But what I should have done, figured out what deck they were playing, then taken my deck, and then if I'm gonna play in another event in like a week, right? Come back to that event with a new sideboard of ways to beat that deck with my deck, right? And then think about the play lines. Okay, turn 1, I did this. Turn 2, I did this. Turn 3, I did this, and then I lost, or whatever the case was, right? Looked at, okay, this was my opening hand. Should I have kept that hand? Should I have mulled down to 6? Okay. But that should have been the mindset versus, oh wow, that's what Magic is. That was fun. That was crazy. Now, and again, I say should in quotes because again, also thinking about my first time playing Magic, I'm more captivated than anything, right? But it's instances like that where you get destroyed, and then think of as soon as you're done with that game, immediately thinking about play lines of what happened in the game and so on and so forth. Right. So like it's times like that, right?
Our first times playing were very different.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, in my first tournament, which was at Grapple, like I played a few years prior, but it was just against my sister using the cards we had. And I got to play one of Brendan's decks versus this one guy.
He's a cool guy and all.
He's a cool guy and all. And but he gave me a terrible deck. I had no clue how to play. So like these people I'm playing against, I'm like, wait, this card does what? And I'm learning what they're so it was like two different experiences from what Dan did versus what I did. I was like, okay, what did I just lose to? What just happened in this game? And it's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to tell me this stuff. And then even later on, and this was for sure like my first 2 games. I think it was 4 rounds. But even later on when Brendan came back from basic training and I was playing during Kaladesh Standard, I versed this weird deck. Drew was playing it. And he was just playing a bunch of artifact creatures for free, bouncing them back into his hand. And we've gone over this story before.
With Joyra? Was it a Joyra list?
I don't remember exactly, but he was just going off and he was going to blast me in the face for 50.
With Aetherflux Reservoir?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he was just playing a bunch of stuff, and I'm playing a control deck, right? It's like within my first week of playing this game, and I have the terrible idea to play control. I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't even know how the stack works at this point.
That's funny.
So and I'm like, I think I can do this, but I'm like, but he's playing so fast.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, right.
And so I'm just sitting here with like control cards in my hand. I'm like,
You're sitting there with a handful of counter spells, not knowing when you can play.
yeah, not knowing when. I'm just like, all right, I guess I don't get to respond to that because I'm new and I don't want to talk up. And he's just having a blast, right?
Yeah,
He's just throwing
Right.
cards out, putting them back into his hand.
You said this was Drew?
Yeah, this is true.
That would be Drew.
Yeah, and like I'm just sitting there in awe. And at the end of the game, I'm like, what just happened?
That's
and then
funny.
he's like, okay, I'm gonna go over the deck with you.
Yeah.
I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
But guys, if you know a new player that wants to play control, just slap them and be like, you're gonna play aggro.
Right,
instead.
but what you said, the what just happened, like that should be the response.
Yeah.
Like that's 100%. Like if you don't know what happened there, stop, ask, and figure out, dude, show me your deck and what were you doing?
Yeah.
Like what were you thinking? Right.
Yeah.
One thing I just watched Command Zone's recent Extra Turns episode. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that they are doing now in their Patreon is they have a new segment. I think it's called like Table Talk or something. And what they do, and this is only for their patrons, but they record a video immediately at the end of these games. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know what happens as soon as you finish a Commander game, everybody's talking. All right, what did you do there?
Yeah.
What was your deck?
Yeah.
Like, what were you thinking in that spot? Or in turn 2, when you did this, I had this card.
Yep.
And so they're doing videos. They're doing this video series of they're recording that and making that available to patrons, which is awesome. It's just fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Super idea.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's a great idea, right? Number one. But it's super cool, right? And like again, if you play, honestly, you play any of these card games, that should happen. Like the response should not just be, wow, that was cool what you just did. That was really cool. That was fun.
Yeah.
Okay, now what? No. Like learn from it, right?
Yeah. Like, oh, I could have done that at this point. That's when I should have done this.
Like I also think like there's more positives to being negative, right? Than positives of being positive.
Yeah.
Like I think being positive as a mindset is good, but that's probably where it should end. Like have a positive outlook on life, be a positive person. Okay. But when it comes to like your play within a game, you need to be the most negative person that you know, okay? Looking at your play, looking at your decision making and think, okay, I did this. That was wrong. Okay? Here's why it was wrong. I had these outs, okay? And I should have taken one of those outs instead of making this play that I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like from a player standpoint, you will get better by being negative about yourself than you will by being positive.
And one thing I've learned with new players as well, right? It's when you give them that criticism, always give them something positive that they did as well.
Oh yeah.
And
for
then,
sure. No, that's a good point.
But then bring it back to like that problem that they had.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like especially when you're talking to someone else about their play, like the best way to do it is just like Jim said. You start off by being positive. Say, here's something you did right, and this was such a good thing that you did, and maybe even explain it, right? Be like, because maybe they don't know why it was such a good thing. Okay, but start off by being positive. Okay, then look at here's what you did right. Here's some things you did wrong. Okay, and explain why it was wrong, and then end it with another positive.
Yeah.
You sandwich the negative in between positives.
Yeah.
Okay, because and again, that's more from a that's just from a more interpersonal standpoint, right? Because you want to be building and developing your relationships with other people, and when you're talking about other people, like that's what I've found, and Jim can probably attest to this as well. That's best when dealing with somebody else. When you're dealing with yourself, if it's just yourself, be as negative as possible.
If you know you can handle it,
Right,
like,
because it's just yourself. You're talking to yourself.
like you're doing team prep with another person.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to handle it.
Correct.
Like, because if they can't, probably playing a competitive card game at a high level might not be for them.
Yeah, like this week there's a tournament on Saturday. I'm probably gonna get in touch with Avi, say Avi, come on over, and then We're just gonna go ham, and you see something, just hammer it, hammer it, hammer it. That's again, you're going to get further by being negative than you are by being positive. Okay, you're gonna get further in your competitive play and where you are as a player. Okay, you're gonna get farther with other people by being positive with them. Right, you're going to develop those relationships by being positive.
One other thing I've noticed in like play testing, right? if you are having a hard time figuring out what the correct line is, say you're on like turn 4, turn 5, and you're getting to the point where it really matters, right? You can show for a play testing, right? You show your hand to for your teammate and be like, all right, this is what I was thinking, and this is why I was thinking about doing that. If you have multiple routes of doing something, and then you both go over it. But if we're doing a play test where say Dan and I are just like, it's 100%, we have to do it correctly. If you do a misplay, I don't want to see any takebacks, because that's when I think you tend to learn the most. You're like, I shouldn't have done that. Correct. I should not have done that.
Yep.
So that's another thing. I'm like, be as like negative as you can in terms of competitive play as possible. Like have them be punished for things.
Correct. Because like, I mean, especially in life, like you aren't going to learn unless you get punished. Right. Like in the context of a card game, if you lose because of a misplay, you're going to remember that.
Oh, right? And if it's online, everyone's going to remember that. There's so many things for Hearthstone and Magic, and it's like, oh, you remember when you misplayed at that tournament and when you had lethal and then you lost on the next turn 5-10 years ago? I remember.
When I started getting into card games, right? You know, I was I was playing Elder Scrolls Legends, right? I was following those tournaments that they were having. And I remember there was one tournament, I can't remember what the tournament was, right? But there were 2 people going at it, right? And so I can't remember what decks they were playing or anything like that. All I remember is the commentary was, they don't see it. They don't see the line. And what are they doing? They had lethal and they missed it. They missed it. They did not see the line.
And you know, I think that's one of the most underrated things about learning to play aggro decks, because it gets you into the mindset of you have to find lethal however you can. And it makes it to where, all right, well, now that I'm playing a mid-range deck or a control list, okay, now that we're in these final stages of I might be able to have lethal, or how many turns until I have lethal? Right. Figuring out your fastest possible route that you can have. And I think that's one of the things people overlook when they talk about playing aggro decks. It's you need to know, how can I kill my opponent?
Even combo too.
Oh yeah. Sure.
I played in last week. I played in a modern FNM. Okay. For Magic, and so I was playing my deck. I did okay. I think it was like 2-2 again or something like that. But the last
he also got the bye.
He's not wrong.
Just had to slide that in there.
He's not wrong.
I went 0-0 that day though, but I got to play different games.
Yeah, I got to play a different game. Yeah. He's not wrong. So, but anyway, the last game that I had, I won in 3. Okay, and so the last game. So one of those games I was playing against a mono blacklist I play mono. It's mono green. It's Amulet Titan, right? And so I played against a mono blacklist who exiled all of my Karns, all of my Primeval Titans, and that was game 2, and I almost won that game. I almost won that game. Those are some good games.
Wow.
But yeah. So that was not fun. But Karn is a busted card. But anyway, excuse me, Urza Saga is a busted card. Freaking insane. But anyway, so the last game, I won in turns. Okay. And the way that I won was I played out. I had a Dryad of the Ilsean Grove on board, turning all of my basic lands into every land. Okay, all of my lands,
super lands,
all of my lands into any land I want, right? And so I had out on board a what's the red card? The land mountain comes into play, deal 3 damage.
Oh, Valakut?
There we go, Valakut. There we go. So I had
like
a
the ace card in the deck.
I had a Valakut out on board.
Yeah.
Okay. So Valakut on board plus Dryad. So my opponent is at 18 life. So I play out the Primeval Titan. Okay. So I'm thinking through my head, okay, how do I have to kill him
You're
here.
like, I know I can do 18 damage.
Well,
We've done it before.
I'm thinking in my head, I have to kill him here.
Yeah.
Like this is my out. I have to end the game here.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm thinking, my opponent has 2 cards in hand. I'm like, does he have counterspell? Because up to this point, he's countered a lot. So my opponent was playing. Is it Delve? Yeah. Is it Murktide?
Murktide, yeah.
So is it Murktide? Okay. So my opponent's already used a couple counter spells. Got 2 cards in hand. I'm like, all right, does he have it? I'm just like, does he have it? I'm like, if he's got it, he's got it. But I've got to end the game here. Okay.
Right.
So he has a Murktide out on board. He's got a Murktide out on board. So the turn before, I removed his graveyard with the elemental. I can't remember which one it was.
Endurance.
Endurance. There we go. Endurance. Which turns out it didn't matter because I asked as soon as that game was over, did that endurance do anything? It's like, no, not really. I'm like, all right. But so anyway, I cast Primeval Titan. I'm like, if he's got the counter spell, he's got it, but I got to get it out of his hand. Okay. So he's like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, then I got it. As soon as he says it's good, I'm like, okay. So I search my deck. At this point, I've got 2 options. I can just find another Valakut plus Vesuva to copy the Valakut, giving me 3 times 2 triggers of Valakut, so for 18 damage. Or I can make the Primeval Titan get haste, then get 2 more lands. So I had multiple outs there. But my thinking was, okay, I have to end the game here. So as soon as that game was over, he's like, yep, that's it. I'm like, oh, I remember. I'm like, yes. But as soon as that game was over, I'm like, did that endurance do anything? Because in my head, I'm just trying to think of how can I get out of this? And I didn't want him to get another Murktide. Right. So I'm like, did that endurance do anything? He's like, no, not really. I'm like, okay, all right.
So he already had the Murktide out.
I think he hadn't. I can't remember. I honestly can't remember.
Okay.
It might not have been on board.
Okay. I was gonna say, because then at least his Murktide would get bigger.
Yeah, his Murktide would have gotten bigger. Right. But I had some Arboreal Grazers. Are huge, being able to block Ragavan without dying and the Flyers.
And the Flyer,
That last game,
like
that last game, like that matchup is favors Primeval Titan, the Amulet Titan deck, I think. But it was still a good match. It was still a really good match. But that like going to FNM like that, it's so good as a player, right? Because you're only gonna get better if you have the right mindset. If you just go and be like, oh yeah, it was fun, we had a good time, you're not gonna get better. Like you have to be brutal to yourself and think about your plays.
True.
Like
and do a lot of research.
Yep. Know what people are playing, and more so know at the end. Like once you're done, because like it's also one thing going in and like thinking and making your decisions on the fly. And then it's best once you're done. Okay, what are you playing? What was your game plan? How were you? What was your game plan? What were you thinking? How were you going to beat me? Right. And then go from there like, okay, so here's when I played this card. Here's probably what I should have done. When I was playing against that mono black player, he had Karn. So he put out his Karn. I'm like, I put out my Karn, and then he had a not a Mind Stone. The 2 mana artifact, tap it to scry, pay 2, tap to draw a card, and then once it has 4 counters on it. It's not Mind Stone. Once it has 4 counters on it, exile it, gain full life.
Mine's something Tome.
Yeah. Yes. Something like that. Something along those lines. So he goes to activate it. He's like, I'm gonna scry. And I'm like, no, you're not. He's like, no, I'm not. I will draw that card that I didn't want. Yeah. But it's like those things sometimes like you forget. Like you can't do it. Right. So yeah, good thing in my deck I didn't have any artifacts except expedition map that I need to worry about. But it's every time you play, going back, be negative, be brutal to yourself. Look at your plays, okay? I have one other story that you will remember. Okay. So when we play, I think it was one of the first times we played Commander.
Okay.
One of the first times we played Commander. One of the best Commander games I'd ever played in my entire life. It was such a fun and really good game.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was playing my Gargos Hydra Fight Club deck. Okay, which I'm retooling and bringing back, and I cannot wait for this deck to get back.
Dan can't wait to destroy me.
Oh yes, and Jim said if he played, this is the only mono green deck he would ever play.
Yeah, it's there's so much interaction.
Oh, that's all the deck is. That is all it is interaction.
Yeah,
it is all it is interaction.
Yeah. It's the only one I'll play.
Yeah. So anyway, I was playing that deck, which was very different back then. It was just like all Hydras, right? But there was still a good amount of interaction in it. And what deck were you playing? It could not have been Talrand because you're playing Is It?
No. I don't remember if it was Niv Mizzet.
It might have been.
I think it was
because I was trying to take out Niv Mizzet.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what it was.
It was Niv out, and every time someone cast something, I would draw a card.
And ping. Yep. So he has Niv Mizzet out on board. Okay. And so this deck, my deck, is full of Hydras, right? Which will get massive. And then I can kill anybody with commander damage very, very quickly. Yeah. Because Gargos himself is an 8/7, or herself. I'm not sure if Gargos is female, but regardless. So he's an 8/7, right? So as a big boy, it's a huge big guy.
It's a huge guy.
It's a big body, right? 8/7, right? And so if you're not familiar, Gargos costs 3 and 3 green, so a total of 6 mana for an 8/7 Vigilance Hydra. Okay,
that likes to fight.
It has your Hydras, other Hydra spells, other Hydras you cast cost 4 less to cast.
Ooh,
4. Ooh. That's so I can cast a Hydra that costs X and a green for 1 green, and it comes in with 4 counters because that's normally how Hydras work, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. But that's not the best part of Gargos. The best part of Gargos is whenever a player targets one of your creatures you control with a spell, Gargos fights up to 1 target creature you don't control.
Yeah.
So whenever someone else targets your stuff, or you target your stuff with something, Gargos will fight.
Mm-hmm. Just be like, I want to give it indestructible. Sure, it's going to fight something before it gets in the indestructible, but actually, for that turn,
no. So the way it works, it depends on the cards. As soon as you target Gargos, the spell goes on the stack first. Then Gargos fight trigger goes on the stack.
Yeah,
Gargos fights first before the.
That's what I said. Gargos fights first, and then he becomes indestructible.
Okay. I thought you said it the other way.
Yeah, but then after everything. Once that happens, then you can target him again and be like, all right, well, now he's indestructible. We're going to target him a few times. He's going to fight everything on the board.
Gargos, it will be a card of the week at some point, but not this week.
Yeah, not today.
And I will talk way more about
today.
This.
We have a better card.
I will talk way more about this later. But the last thing I'll say is one of my favorite things with the Gargos is you do that. You target Gargos or one of your stuff with something. Yeah. The Gargos trigger goes on the stack, and then in response, somebody's like, "Oh no, I got to kill him." So they respond to it, target him, and then there's another fight trigger.
He fights again.
I'm like, okay, cool.
I wanted that to happen anyway.
And so I play this Gargos deck on Arena in Historic Brawl, and then if that happens, they blow up. They concede.
They're just gone.
So anyway, that was the deck that I was playing. Okay. And so I thought I had Jim. Okay. Jim, like I knew I had to defeat Jim. At that point, I can't remember if it was just you and me left.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, it wasn't.
No,
okay.
We had a few other people.
Okay. But this was how I was going to kill you. From what I remember.
Wasn't this like an 8-man game or something? It was something.
I can't remember.
It was more than 4.
I cannot remember for the life of me. I can't remember. Okay. But in any case, okay. So from what I remember, okay, he has Niv Mizzet out on board, and I knew I had to kill Niv Mizzet in order to kill Jim. Okay. So there was something. Gargos was about to die. I think Gargos is about to die. So in response, I cast some targeting effect. Okay. No, it was a card that made Gargos indestructible.
Yeah, indestructible.
It was a card that made Gargos indestructible. So I targeted him with it, right? So that card goes on the stack, okay? Then Gargos fight trigger goes on the stack. And I was having Gargos fight Niv Mizzet.
Yeah.
So it was so I played the card, okay, on cast Gargos trigger, then Niv Mizzet trigger. Okay. So Niv Mizzet trigger goes off, ping me for 1. You draw a card.
Yep.
Did you draw this card, or did you already have it in hand?
I want to say I was sitting on it for a very long time.
I think you did. I think you were.
I was sitting on it.
Okay. So I'm thinking, I'm like, I got him. I got him. And then
Then I had a counterspell.
and then Jim drops what?
I dropped the counterspell at this point.
No, you didn't.
It was so we went back and forth. We were on the stack for
we were?
4 different things. Yeah. Yeah. So I went to go counter and you're like, all right, I'm going to target it again with this. Right. So, but that card didn't, card didn't resolve.
Well, your counter spell would not have done anything with the fight trigger.
Yeah. I know.
Oh, that's right. I remember you did counter it.
Yeah.
Because I needed to make Gargos indestructible.
Or it wasn't even indestructible first. You played a different card to target it. I went to go counter something. I forget exactly. Which, I don't remember the exact.
I don't remember what the
happened.
exact stack looked like.
It was he played something. I was like, no, I don't like that. I want that gone.
Yes.
And then he played again of make it indestructible, and we're gonna fight again.
Yeah, we're gonna fight again.
And then I just dropped the expansion explosion to be like, I'm going to copy.
Yes.
I'm going to copy that.
Yes. I was like, no, that was literally the only thing he could have had.
Yeah.
Because he needed to make Niv Mizzet indestructible.
Yeah. Yeah. I needed to make him indestructible. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to draw again, ping some more people. And then it's like, all right, well, now I have infinite mana. Because that was the other thing. I was setting up the Deadeye Navigator, Paragon Drake.
That's right. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And so I was getting ready to get those guys together. And then I'm like, all right, it's now time to win the game.
Yep.
Yep. And then that's when Dan realized you don't verse me on the stack.
But Gargos is the one to do it. Gargos is the one to do it. Man. Gargos is the one to do it.
I don't like any mono green commanders or like decks in general. Although there is it's technically not mono green, but it's elves in modern.
Oh yeah.
Because it plays Shaman of the Pact, which is a Golgari card, and then you burn your opponent for how many elves you have on the field. I wouldn't even attack. I would just be like, I got 20 elves out on field.
Yep.
Shaman of the Pack hits you for 20.
Yep.
And that's all I want to do.
Yep.
So
correct.
But in general, I mean, you guys know I don't like green.
Yeah. Yeah. But when you saw this list, you were like,
I was like, that's kind of hot.
Yeah. But okay. So like we have that entire discussion. Yes, that was a crazy turn of events and a lot of fun. But I looked at that and like, okay, what could I have done differently to get out of that, to better play that hand? Yeah. Right.
Everyone at the table went crazy.
Yes.
That was so fun.
Yep. That was such a great turn of events.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. But it's turns like that and games like that where immediately you look, dude, what did you do there? Like, what did you have in your hand? How did you that's how you get better.
Yeah.
And then you look and then you go back to your deck line. I'm going to retool it for a little bit and turn it into this or something along those lines.
Which, now that I'm thinking about it, my original story of Magic and why I quit.
Oh yeah.
It can kind of be added to this.
Go ahead.
So when I first got into the game, my sister was playing it.
So real quick, this is like totally not how I thought this episode would go. But like this is exactly what we're talking about. Like it perfectly illustrates kind of what we're saying.
Yep.
So go ahead. Sorry.
So when I first got into Magic, I want to say it was around 2015, and I was at an old shop in Bridgeport in Chicago, and me and my sister were there for M15 pre-release.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And we picked up a pre-release. We didn't really know what we were doing. And then I think it was the next day we went to Walmart and we picked up a fat pack of Ravnica. Yeah, Return to Ravnica.
Okay.
And so we got some decent stuff. We even pulled a Shockland as well for Golgari.
Nice.
And so I was throwing together a deck. I pretty much took all the blue and red cards. She took all the green and black cards, and then we just had white like left over. And
surprise.
So like I put a deck together. I don't remember if I helped her put her deck together, or she just like threw it together and whatever. We were playing a few times. I don't think I won any games, right? And majority of the reason I didn't win was because of one particular stupid card that to this day I hate. Okay. And so many people troll me. They're like, oh, hey, look, I put this one deck into my I put this one card into my deck. What do you think of it? And then they hand me Vampire Nighthawk. I'm like, I hate you. I hate you so much. So we're playing a few days in a row, and I'm getting pissed. Right? Yeah. I'm furious. Yeah. Like I'm not even. I know why I lost. I know the exact reason as to why I lost those games. Yeah. Vampire Nighthawk. But I didn't have cards to kill it. Yep. So the only way I was able to take care of the card permanently was to stop playing the game. Okay. So I went so far down the negative side. Right. Of completely stopping, refusing to even play the game. Right. And once you go to the extreme far side of it, you don't get better because you just completely stop playing. Right. So, yeah.
But he didn't stop playing, ladies and gentlemen.
I stopped for 2 years.
Yeah.
I stopped for 2 years, and then a friend I met at Grapple was like, oh, hey, I play Magic. I'm like, oh, great. And yay. Just learned about stuff. And then I learned about Lightning Bolt because I told people, I'm like, Lightning Strike's my favorite card in the game. And then they're like, well, do you know about this one? I'm like, that's now my new favorite card in the
game. And has been his favorite ever since.
Has been my favorite ever since.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah. So, I think kind of wrapping this up here a little bit. So you can be negative by being too positive. I think there is a such thing as being too positive, right? Mm-hmm. But it's the context that we're talking about, right? When you're talking just about yourself, that's where you be negative, right? Mm-hmm. Don't like beat yourself up about it, right? Yeah. That's not what we're saying, right? But what we are saying is when you are looking at yourself and your play, okay, you be as brutal as you need to be to get to the issue, right? Mm-hmm. To get to the problems at hand and your play. Right?
A healthy amount of being brutally honest with yourself. Not like what I did. I'm like, I hate this game. Yeah. I'm terrible. I never want to play it again.
Right. Yeah, it's a healthy dose of serious criticism on yourself, right? And yes, it's kind of constructive criticism, but again, like I think when I think of the term constructive criticism, that's being focused more outward at someone else, right? Mm-hmm. Not being pointed inward, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're talking about your own play, you look at, okay, what did I do? And be really brutally honest with yourself, okay? Yeah. Because you need to be honest before you can then get better, right? Yep. Be honest, open with yourself, and then go from there, okay? So I think that's the best thing that you can take away from anything that's competitive, where you want to, and maybe even not competitive, but something where you want to up your skill. Mm-hmm. If you want to get better at something, okay, then you need to be brutally honest. Okay, I remember when I was starting, I was being serious about Elder Scrolls Legends and Hearthstone. I'm like, okay, I want to get better at this. Okay, that's when I'm like, okay, after every game, what did I do? What did I do wrong? What should I do moving forward? Okay, have a notebook out. Okay, here's the matchup. I remember I had an Excel sheet. I'm like, here's the deck I'm playing. Here's who I played against. Here was the result. Yep. And any notes that I had of moving forward of what to take into the next matchup against that deck.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a lot of brutal honesty. You got to be open with yourself and then with your team too.
Oh yeah.
And because those are going to be the other people who really help you out as well, who are going to be with you in the long run. So, did you have anything else that you wanted to mention before we moved on?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So with that, we are going to talk about the card of the week.
Yay.
A very interesting card of the week. Jim, what's the card of the week this week, man?
It's from a very popular game.
It is.
And it's a pretty old game as well. One of the oldest card games.
One of the oldest card games
in the world.
Older
than Magic.
Is it? When do we know when it came out?
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's older than Magic.
It probably is, but I want to know. I want to be sure here. Okay.
Give me a year, Dan.
So developed in 1971.
Sounds about right.
Developed in 1971.
Guys, what game could it possibly be? It's Uno.
It is Uno.
It's the #1 game because it's literally Uno.
Uno 1. Yeah, get it.
All right,
get it.
terrible. Just end it.
Right,
We're out. So the card from Uno, everyone's either favorite card or most hated card in the game. Draw 4.
Draw 4.
+4. And it's a wild card.
Wild draw 4. Yes. There we go.
Yeah. So, Dan, how many times have you ever been playing Uno and you got screwed over by a draw 4?
Too many.
Too many?
Too many to count.
You're not wrong. Although it did get to a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? Everyone's just hitting me with these draw cards. I don't even care because now,
just give me
right?
The cards.
I'm just drawing cards because now what you're doing is you're setting up your end game combo, right?
Your end game combo?
Yeah. So
okay.
So, so I mean, it really only happens in like a 1v1.
Yeah, right. Because the other person doesn't have anything that they can match.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So then you're just like, oh, I'm gonna +2 you. Oh, you can do nothing and you forfeit your turn, draw 2 cards. Okay. Plus another 2. +2. I'm gonna draw. Now you're going to draw 4. I'm going to reverse go to me, skip your turn, skip you, go ahead and draw. I got 1 card left. We're going to play this 1 card, and then I'm out.
But after saying Uno.
I got 1 card left. That's when I guess
you
I should
say
have
Uno
said
before,
Uno.
yeah.
But I was like, oh, I got 1 card left, Uno. And then you play your last card and go out.
And then you win, yes.
Yeah. So you can have a combo out.
You could.
But you're just better off trying to win as fast as possible.
Correct. You're better off trying to go aggro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some house rules that a lot of people have put out there.
All right. So
for this game.
Okay. So I want to hear your house rule. So before we talk about the house rule,
mine are kind of complicated.
Okay. Before we talk about these houses, I cannot remember the last time I played Uno. It's been a long time since I've played Uno. Right. My kids like to play Uno. We've got the oh goodness gracious, what's the Nickelodeon kids show with the dogs? Paw Patrol. There we go. We got Paw Patrol Uno. We played Paw Patrol Uno not that long ago. That was good. That was fun.
It was fun?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Did your kids like it?
They did.
Did you destroy them?
I was a little nice. No, yeah, of course I did.
Of course you did.
Do you know me? Do you know who you're talking to? Of course I destroy them. I'm not gonna let them win.
Yeah.
These little punks.
Yeah. Well, my dad used to call us, he'd call us crumb snatchers. Don't let those little crumb snatchers win.
That's funny. Yeah, so the +4, it just reminds me of that meme. I'm gonna do the one thing or plus.
Either tell us all your secrets or draw 25, and you're sitting there with a bunch of cards in hand.
Draw 25, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So +4, it's you always love having it in your hand, but then when somebody plays it on you. Yeah, you hate that. But Jim, I want to hear about some of these house rules.
So there's some people out there that whenever you play a +2, right? The next person, rather than forfeiting their turn and drawing 2 cards, they can play a +2 on top of that. And now the effect stacks onto your opponent, who's
the next
person
player,
in
the
line.
Next player, yeah, right.
But now if that person also then has a +2, then that stacks, and then it can go to the following person, right? Some people don't play this added way that I do, which is you can also stack the +4 on top of it, right? And since it's a wild, you then pick a color.
Right.
If the off chance that the person next to you has a card with that exact same color, that's either a +2, a reverse, or a skip, then they would be allowed to play those cards as well. So then, rather than the +4 and that person drawing, they have, say, a blue +2. Then the next person has to draw 6 and skip their turn. Same thing with the skip, right? You make it to where it now bypasses you because you're now skipping that effect, going into the next person, and now they're the one stuck drawing the 4 cards. But then the same thing for the reverse cards as well.
Yeah.
If Dan played a +4 red and I have a reverse red. You know what, Dan? No, you.
Yeah. Or I have another reverse. No, we're going to reverse
if he
it back
has a
to
reverse,
you.
then it goes back to me.
Yeah.
Same thing with the skip, or we're like, oh, I called red, but I know I have, say Dan had a +2 red card. It's like, all right, no, it's not going to me. It's still red, +2 draw, and then it goes to the person to the right of him.
So
it can get complicated.
So I feel like the way to make that work, okay, would be on those the plus cards, +2 draw 4, or the reverse or skip. Okay, you can play those cards, okay, but you would not be able to play the numbers.
Yeah,
right. Is correct?
Say that part again.
All right. So because technically, the rules technically are if you play out a +2, a reverse, or skip, okay?
Yeah.
The next player in line has to do that effect, then forfeit their turn.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Right. But what you're saying is no, let's stack the effects. Okay.
Yes.
So you can stack the effects, but that's the only thing that can stack is effects, not regular cards like the 0 through the 9s.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have to be those special cards.
It would have to be the special
the
cards.
effect cards and not the vanilla cards.
Correct. Yeah, there you go. There you go. The chocolate cards, not the vanilla ones.
yeah. There's no ability on them.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah, that could work. That could very much work, but it would get very complicated.
It gets complicated, and it's bad for people who aren't used to playing like card games.
Right.
But if you're playing it with a bunch of card gamers,
right,
like everyone's like, yes, we're down.
Yes,
we're gonna love this.
Correct. Yeah. The stack is now 10 cards. Draw 25.
I'm like,
It'd be more like 26. Yeah, there would be. It could be an odd number.
But I understood what you're talking about.
Right.
Oh, it's actually possible in day and night Uno.
Day and night Uno.
Yeah.
What?
So day and night Uno.
Day and night.
Yeah, pretty much.
Song.
Yeah. And so in this version, there's no backs to the cards. You have, it's essentially the 0 through 9, 0 through whatever number.
Yeah.
And then all your special cards. But in the light side or the daytime side, you have it's weaker card effects. So it'll be draw 1 or draw 3 instead of the draw 4, draw 2. And then on the night side, it'll be draw 2 and draw 5. So it's slightly worse than the norm, or slightly worse. We're gonna put that
right.
Slightly worse than the normal version of Uno.
So what are we back to magic in the nighttime and daytime?
Yes. So if someone makes it to where like it swaps day to night, then you have to take your hand.
It's literally magic, guys. It's literally
so you have to take your hand and flip the cards in your hand because the other side of them are light side and the other side is dark side.
So you know what cards are on top of the deck then when you draw them.
Yes, but since it's the opposite side, if you're playing on the night side, all the cards on top that you see are light. So you have to flip them over to see what the other half is.
Oh, but so not every card is the same night and dark? Oh,
no,
okay.
No.
Or night and light. Got it.
Not at all.
Okay, understood.
It does change it up quite a bit.
Understood.
So
That's
possible.
interesting.
it's possible to get
That's
to a plus
interesting.
25
That's
in this
interesting.
version.
In that version. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
The stack could be so high. Dang it, I don't have any effect cards. Oh,
Right.
but that would be a way to get all the effects
Oh,
out
yeah.
of people's hands.
Oh, yeah.
Have like that one turn where it's just huge and then it hit you. Dang it.
I wouldn't even mind at that point.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, I understand.
Yep, understood. That makes sense.
And just like die laughing.
Yep.
Because that experience is worth more than me winning that game.
Right. Especially in a game like Uno, that's the most casual game you could ever talk about.
Except for maybe Villainous. Well, Dan, I'll see you in at the bottom page of Reddit. We're going to get a bunch of downvotes.
Look at these idiots, these dumbos over here saying Uno's a casual game. Come on. I mean, how many Uno tournaments I played? Guys, we're memeing. We're having a good time.
Yeah.
We're having a
We
good
love
time.
you all on the Villainous Discord.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though you don't like us.
You guys hate us, but I thought it was funny.
Well, I thought it was funny too. It's all right. It's just a game.
It's just a game. Dan, end the podcast, please.
Oh, we're having a good time. All right. Well, that's all we got for the card of the week. Jim, where can people find you on the internet?
Honestly, I don't want anyone to find me anymore. But if you guys are wondering, you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram at Jim Morgan, H&H.
You can find me, if you want to destroy me on the internet, you can find me on Instagram at Daniel.G.Campbell, Twitter at _DJ Campbell. You can find us on, head over to our website, www.hobbiesandhappiness.com. You can find links to all our socials, YouTube, podcast, everything is right there. Again, hobbiesandhappiness.com. Okay, that one took a turn, but dude, that was fun.
Yeah.
I had fun. Thanks everybody for being here. Hopefully you had a good time. Also before we get out of here, I want to know, what do you think about the +4? Okay, do you like the +4? Do you hate the +4? Is that your
house rules?
Do you? Yeah. Do you have any house rules? If you've played it, let us know some of your house rules. I'd be very interested to know. And then lastly, I can't remember what we talk about. The negatives. Yeah, we go. The mindset, negatives of being positive. Do you have any stories that you think apply to this topic? We'd be very interested to know. And do you agree? Do you agree with us that there can be negatives to always being positive in a competitive setting, or in a setting to where you are looking to try and improve in a game?
Yeah.
Let us know. I'd be very interested to know. So with that, thanks everybody for being here. Hopefully you had as good a time as we did talking about this. And we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. See you, everybody.
Take care.